And they
18
were
of them.
saying this one they sent, the one they sent over there is the biggest one of all of them or something like that.
It's
And
like
they
the
said
biggest.
it's ready to end anything that decides to spread beyond these two places. Now, I will say this, man. Now, you know what's interesting? You've seen this rise of like these pro-Palestinian protests all over the nation and anti-Israel protests all over the nation, and the Jewish communities are getting attacked, and all this rise against the Jewish people all of a sudden, which I find interesting because I told somebody, I was thinking about this the other day. I said, listen, regardless of how you feel about the Israel Palestinian like conflict thing. I just don't understand how people can see, and I want to be objective, but like I'm trying to understand how can you in this situation. I'm not talking about historically or any. I'm just saying in this situation how people can be like, for lack of better words, anti-Israel at this moment, only because of the fact that Israel, as you know, I don't know how connected you were when you were out there, but I know when we were out there, while I was in Bahrain and while I spent some time in Bahrain, we saw, we watched all the Syria and all that kind of stuff going on, and we watched on the COC. They were talking about how I remember 475 rockets getting shot into Israel daily. It was something crazy like that,
Yeah.
and they didn't do nothing. They were just like, all right, now this is just getting annoying, and then you fast forward. So and they get attacked daily, and I think it's interesting that you have Hamas that infiltrated the nation, killed all those people, one of the worst terrorist attacks we've seen in a long time. According they parachuted into a concert and
They
just
hang glidered. Hang
I'm
glidered.
sorry, yeah, hang glided into a concert and slaughtered 400 people, kidnapped and raped people, stripped them naked and drug them through the streets. They're kidnapping kids and taking them to the Gaza Strip to behead and burn them alive on videos. And like Israel's like, yo, y'all tripping. We tired of this
Yeah.
BS. I got something for you. You want to act like, all right, we got something for you. And then people coming out saying, oh, I can't believe Israel's being so, heartless and da 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 to the Palestinian people. What? I just, my brain is having a hard time
Well,
processing
they're
that.
so basically, Gaza is completely taken care of by Israel. They send them electricity, they send them water, they even send them
Right,
food and stuff. You know, and like I said several times before, they wanted them to create their own state, their own government. They're not in Gaza. They have
right,
Gaza sectioned off,
right,
because they don't want to deal with it,
right,
and they're not taking care of themselves. Hamas is not like an actual government entity.
right,
It's more like a straw man thing. They
right,
basically turned Gaza into a training ground. They turned
right,
the West Bank and Gaza into
right,
a training ground for
right,
terrorists. And
right.
Hamas trains there. And probably, I'm sure multiple other groups from around the world train there.
Of course.
And hey, you're going to get a lot of experience shooting rockets. You
Right,
know,
right.
going to get a lot of experience
And,
doing
and,
that.
and
So now for them, they're about to invade. Well, they're telling all of the Palestinian civilians that are now involved. They're like,
get out of there.
leave, get out. You have this much
Yeah,
time to get out, and then we're going in.
yeah,
Whether and honestly, like, yeah, it does. It sucks. It's a humanitarian issue at this point. But these other Arab nations should have zero problem taking in those Palestinians. You
right,
know, where are they? Are they? That's what I want to know.
right.
My
They're
biggest
not.
fear, my biggest fear in all of this is that they form another Arab coalition, like I said, during like they did back during, well, I think it was the '60s. They had the Six Day
Yeah,
War
if they
into the
war.
60s, 60, 65, 67, something like that.
Yeah,
If they form an Arab coalition and they try to attack Israel, then we 100% have to get involved. That's a
right,
real actual outside of NATO,
right,
outside of anything else. We've been
right,
allies with Israel since their very foundation. So we're going to have to go fight, whether we want to or not.
right.
You know, they'll
Yeah,
probably end up putting troops on the ground because Israel's good, but Israel was good in the '60s when they've been preparing. Well, now all these other countries have been preparing for
right.
however long. You know what I'm saying? Just like
Yeah,
the Germans had the Schlieffen Plan for World War
right,
One, I'm sure these Arab nations have been coordinating some sort of attack.
right.
Um, and they're going to have to take the thing is that they have to take into account is the U.S. Like, what would the U.S. do? What is Europe
Right,
going to do? I'm not
right.
so much worried about the UN. The UN's garbage.
Yeah,
I'll bash the UN anytime I have a chance. I
yeah,
think the UN should dissolve. I think they're
yeah.
absolute
I
trash.
think the
You know.
UN, I think the WEF, all of them, I think they all need to go away.
Oh yeah, WHO. Bye.
WHO, I think all three of them need to just because I mean we already know they have their own agendas. We already know what they're trying to do. And it was funny because while all this is going on, they secretly released a little bill trying to accelerate Agenda 2030. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like they put that out talking about we want to accelerate the process. And it's like, see, you all aren't even talk. Think about this. They pushed all this garbage during the Ukraine thing, like, oh, Ukraine and blah blah and now you all acting like this thing in Israel is not even happening. Like this, they're doing other stuff. They're focused on things that don't even, like I said,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. And then and then of course we always got to bring up because nobody else is talking about it. Africa, they got all kind of crazy stuff going on because what country was that? This overthrew their government and
Was it
what
not?
is it?
Was it Nigeria? No, it wasn't Nigeria.
No, it wasn't Nigeria. It was ah, I can't remember, but they just
Was
overthrew
it the
their
Sudan?
government.
Was it the Sudan?
Was it
Because
Sudan? And
because
I
there
don't
was a
have my
bunch of fight. I know there was a bunch of fighting going on in Sudan.
well, yeah,
Um,
I know for a minute, that was that war. It was Ethiopia and the Eritreans and Paraguay. They were at war, and then there was another nation I can't remember that recently overthrew their government and dethroned their prime minister and everything. Like they did it. But now, of course, with the change of regime, it's chaos because who's going to take charge, who's in control. Whenever you overthrow a system, you have to deal with the fallout. Um, and I remember what's crazy is like Biden, I think Biden had came out and said something about like them overthrowing their government is a like total act of, terrorism or something like that. And it's like, first of all, really,
did you forget how we started?
right?
you
Like,
know,
what are we talking about? Like, that's literally what America was born on, you know what I'm saying? And the
pe-
fact
pe-
that part of
pe-
this is because of the Western influence and all that kind of stuff. So what are you talking about?
100%.
You
I mean,
know,
you want to sit there and talk about you hear all these people in the U.S. about colonizer this, colonizer that, blah blah blah. Africa's probably the most colonized um, continent on the planet. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Every country has had their hands in Africa and still has their hands in Africa right now. And
right,
now a bunch of these African guys are getting together. Like they're the most precious metal rich, most mineral rich country in the entire world. They should be the richest, and like those countries should
right,
be rich. But we've been,
right.
honestly, like the West has just been raping the shit out of them
Yeah,
economically for all these years.
yeah,
And now that they're kind of like, you know what? I mean, if you got that one African, I think he's general president, whatever his
yeah,
rank is at the time, was saying he's like, if you want gold, you come here and you build mining
yeah,
facilities
yeah,
and you hire
yeah,
Africans and you build and you put money into our economy. You want copper, you want whatever minerals they are. It's like you come here, you build facilities, you put us to work. He's like you bring it. He wants to bring actual commerce into their countries. I don't see anything
right,
wrong with that. And if a
right,
country's going to overthrow their government and they have a legitimate which I don't see why they probably wouldn't have a legitimate reason in any one of those places going forward, you know, it's none of our business. Once again,
right,
none of our
right,
business. If
right,
their people want a specific type of way to be governed and they want to live a
right,
certain way, it's
right,
none of our business.
right,
This whole idea of spreading democracy really needs to stop because we're not
right,
spreading anything. You
right.
know,
And the truth is, we have no concept of what real democracy is in the first place. Like, we have no
no,
idea what. We first of all, we don't even have a democracy. We have a republic.
no,
You know what I'm saying? And people don't
yeah,
even realize that. You know what I'm saying? And to the republic for which it stands, like we don't have a democracy in the first place. And this whole idea of spreading democracy, the truth is that your understanding of what because it's like we're spreading democracy under our understanding and our convenience and our influence and our control and our benefit. We're gonna build a system that works for you, for us. It's like that's not how that works. You know what I'm saying? Um,
hmm
Let these countries. The reality is, just like any other nation in a country, I think we need to get back to a primitive sense, letting countries develop as they develop. Let them become what they are going to become, and keep ourselves out of their business. You know what I'm saying? Like, mind your business, big dog. Mind your
Yeah.
business.
Now,
You know?
if you want to set up trade and actual commerce that's mutually beneficial between you and another country, like you want to sit here and talk about universal morality, right? So, what kind of morality is it if you're already a powerful country to continue to use your influence to keep other countries down? You know, like the
Right,
U.S. has probably engineered more regime changes and government
right,
collapses in the last
right,
50 years
right,
than the rest of the world put together.
right,
Probably most of history put together because
right.
we got real good at it. We got
Yeah.
real
And,
good
and,
at it.
and and
You
if you
know.
think and it's not like we're trying to assist in the freedom of others. No. It's in the interest of ourselves. That's the worst part. You know what I'm saying? It's like you look at I mean, don't get me wrong, like people like you got your Hitlers and you got your Stalins, you got all
Yeah.
them folks. Yeah, they were doing some pretty horrible things. You know, you got your Miles and all them, I get it. But when you look at something like, you know, like, even though he's not a great human being, your boy in Syria, what's his name? I forgot his name that quick. Um, Shoot, I forgot his name that quick. But anyway, your boy in Syria, when they were, the West was instigating, saying that he was a war criminal and he was, you know, gassing his own people and stuff in Aleppo when all that craziness was going on in Syria. And when I found out, you know, I found out that all of that fighting and chaos and all stuff was pretty much contained in Aleppo.
Yeah.
It wasn't that he was, you know, destroying his own people. And when you find out that it was because Hezbollah, the Taliban, and all of them had infiltrated Aleppo and had taken over the city and was bombing the rescue buses every time they tried to bring somebody in there, and was using, you know what they do, using hospitals and schools and all that stuff as their holdups,
Their cover, yeah.
their cover. You know what I'm saying? And then when your boy said, listen, I want to get people out of here. However, they keep stopping me, but I can't let these jokers spread like roaches through my country. I
Yeah.
just don't have the same moral, you know, ethical code that you have. I'm willing to take them out by any means necessary.
Yeah.
And he turned around and, you know, he ended up bombing the city, and guess what? After that, you ain't hear nothing about Syria anymore, did you?
Nope.
And he's still in
So,
power. And the West was trying to get him thrown out of the seat, getting thrown out of power, and all this kind of stuff. And it was just like, yo, what are you doing? Like, we don't even have good streets. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't even have build bridges that work. You know what I mean? We don't even, you know, we it's like
I, I was talking
yeah,
about infrastructure with a new friend I've made recently, and she was talking about she's not from here. She's from up north. She's from Alaska, and she hates the South. I don't know why she's still here, but
right,
she hates the South.
right,
Understandably, it's different down here. If you're not from here and you're not used to it, it's much different. She's from some small town in Alaska. She's like, your infrastructure sucks. I was like, how many people do you have in your town? The people thought that he was gone and they had sold his stuff. Oh, Keisha was asking. She said something that's terrible, and I asked her which part. She was talking about when they thought you were dead, so they just sold your stuff.
oh
I mean,
yes,
that's the
it's
Marine Corps. That's the
horrible.
Marine Corps way. When you're gone, you're gone. Like your stuff's getting divvied out. You know.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, no. So we were talking about infrastructure, and she's like, the infrastructure here sucks. I was like, yeah, well, it's corrupt. I mean, Orleans, just the city of Orleans. If you live inside of Orleans Parish, you pay huge amounts of money for your property taxes and all these other, entertainment taxes and other crap. But the problem is you've only got about 40% of the population of that parish that pay taxes. The rest are on assistance. So when 40% of the population of an area is supporting 60% of the population of an area, what are you going to do? You know what I'm saying? Well, the politicians are just going to take the money. So now the money's not going back into the pumps that try to keep the city from flooding, fixing the. She lives in an area, and I went over to her house to help her build to pick her up, and just dude, I'm just bouncing. I'm bouncing. I'm hitting so many potholes. I mean, there's entire sections of the
right.
road that have just sunk down, and I'm like, there's so much money that actually comes. Like, there's way more money that comes into New Orleans than they want to give credit for because of sports, because of festivals, because of all this stuff. How are we not tapped into all that? There's absolutely no way that all that stuff happens and the government doesn't make any money off of it. It's going to someone's pockets, it's going to people's pockets all the time.
Sure.
That's the biggest problem we have in the U.S. is nobody invests in the U.S. Business owners don't want to do it here because everything's so much more expensive, so they just go overseas. Why have a factory here when I can have a factory at a fraction of the cost in
For
China?
cheap,
Even
right.
though they're technically our enemies, they'll do it for a
right,
fraction of the cost.
right,
You know, I don't
right.
I don't blame business owners. Like we have a very business we have a very small business unfriendly country right now. So all these up and
Absolutely.
coming businesses that don't blow up into giant
Right,
corporations, you know, like
right,
Amazon and Google and all that stuff like that, like you're
right,
basically screwed. Like you're going to be etching out a living because they're just going to drown you in red tape,
right,
and they're
right,
going to drown you in taxes, and they're going to drown you in other
right,
bullshit to keep you down because they'd rather let
right,
these giant corporations continue to operate.
right,
Same thing during COVID. They shut down all the family businesses, but Walmart was open.
right, right, right.
You know,
You know,
you're
it's
gonna
interesting.
tell me it's safer to go to Walmart?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Right, exactly. Like, it's so interesting because it's like, man, the sad reality is that we used to be a nation of small business. You know what I'm saying? We used to be a nation of industry within, your family businesses and family shops. And I mean, that was what supported us. And then I think, well, you say right around the Industrial Revolution or so on and so forth, where that's where you had your big growth in corporate capital and so on and so forth, I think is where things really took a turn because I would say the downside of capitalism is that it opens the door to monopolies and greed. You know what I mean? And that's in many
I,
aspects.
I agree with that to an extent. I do believe that capitalism does. Well, see, the thing is, without capitalism, everything is a monopoly anyway because the government has control of
Right.
it,
No
right?
government.
So
Right.
you need capitalism, but you need capitalism with the gloves off. Because the problem is when you pair capitalism with government, you get what we have now, and you have basically a bunch of corporations that can lobby and get whatever they want. They can do whatever they
Right.
want. They can set the price any way they want. I don't want the government to regulate prices. I want the amount of businesses creating a product to regulate prices.
Right.
So instead of having one company that makes a product, I want 50 because at that point
Right.
they have to lower their prices.
Right.
They have to create a quality product at the best price because if they don't, they'll go out of business because there's 49 other companies that
Right.
are competing for my
Right.
money and they'll get my
Right.
money if they give me a good product and that you
Right.
can take that analogy and you can apply that to to the healthcare field.
Right.
You can apply
Right.
that to cars.
Right.
You can apply that to the Defense Department.
Yeah.
But the once you get a monopoly, there's almost no way to get rid of it. That's the
Right.
problem.
Right.
Like Amazon essentially is a monopoly of online, business.
Right.
There's still
Shopping.
other,
Right.
yeah, you can still do like eBay, Etsy, and stuff like that. It's still, there's still a chance out there. But I mean, the convenience of Amazon, like
Right.
literally, I'll be laying in bed, be like, man, I feel like I need a pen that's shaped like a grenade. Amazon,
Yeah.
one
They
day
got it.
shipping. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You just
Yeah,
you
yeah.
just show up
And
and
you
you
gotta think,
and you
well,
get
and you gotta
stuff.
think
And
convenience. I mean, convenience plays the huge role in it, right? If you got the resources to create something convenient, like Amazon is convenient. Like even though we know that Amazon is got all kinds of dirt on them, you know what I'm saying, child labor and who knows what else going on. But guess what? It's convenient. You know what I'm saying? Like you remember,
it's
shoot, you
convenient.
figure, you figure, like we know Walmart, all these big corporations, we know how much dirt and political investing they have. I mean, look at, okay, here you go, Target, right? So you remember when Target just recently had some scandal because they came out there with the like
Oh,
Satan
the LGBT.
praying.
Oh, no, yeah, the satanic stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the satanic shirts and all of that kind of stuff. Like they had this whole thing. Everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, how dare you? Oh, Target, blah blah." Blah. But guess what? I bet you that
They're still
Target
there.
street's still open and they still packed.
Yep.
Ain't nobody not you're not going anywhere else.
They
The amount of people that
they
you lose because of that was minimal. I mean, and I don't know what they lost on a grand scale, but I mean, the truth is that because put it like this, let's be honest, it's always boiled down to we the people. I mean, we the people are the ones that give these corporations and politicians and all them power. You know what I'm saying? If we all decided to stop doing it, then of course what would happen? They would have to make some adjustments. You know, um, so they'd have to respond. I put it like that.
Well, yeah. The problem is people don't realize how much power we actually have. If
Right.
if enough people got together and just said no, then it's a no, and like there's nothing that the government could do about it. Dude, you want to hear like, and this is not a conspiracy, but I was actually thinking about this the other day. Um, you remember back after George Floyd died, like they were burning, cities were getting burned and stuff like that, and
Right.
everybody wanted change. I was like,
Right.
instead of like riots and stuff like that, why not just march to your capital and just sit on it. If 50,000 people show up at the Capitol, there's not a damn thing that they could have done in Missouri or in Chicago or in New York. If you just march to the government building and you sit there with 50,000 people,
Yeah.
what are they going to call the military? Hell, even your National Guard isn't 50,000 people. I think each
Right.
state's limited to like no more than like 15,000 guardsmen.
Right.
So you really do have a lot of power. It's organization. And that's where the divisiveness becomes a weapon. When you can
Right.
weaponize the media, when you can weaponize the rest of the world, again, if you can weaponize the people again, I'm sorry, if you can weaponize, you know, people against themselves, and you can use COVID as a really good example of that. They didn't have to do much. They basically just had to make half the population believe that if you weren't afraid, then then you're a terrible person, and if you
Right.
are afraid, then you are a good person. And they pitted people against each other. They didn't have to
Yeah.
enforce anything. They
Yeah.
didn't have to enforce anything. I remember walking
Yeah.
into a store early 2022, and this lady's like, we're still wearing masks in here," and I was like, "I'm allergic to masks," and she's like,
Right.
"Oh, okay, okay, go ahead."
Yeah,
Like,
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. And people might feel some kind of way about this, but I don't. I can probably count on one, two hands how many times like I actually was all mashed up and hand sanitizer. I remember, bro. I remember I went to this school, and mind you, listen, I nothing against anybody who feels like they want to be safe and do all that stuff. I got nothing against anybody who that's your prerogative. I remember I went to this school, big dog. There was a teacher in there. He had like three masks on. He had three masks. Boom, 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 boom. He had no, he had one of those when you're cutting wood and you got the face mask cover type joint.
yeah,
He had one of those on, a clear one, had a clear wood chipper like cover mask on, and then he was doing the hand sanitizer like every like 20 minutes, like 15 minutes. And he was like, he would have the whole class get up and do hand sanitizer every like 15 minutes. And he was like hand sanitizing like this, you
yeah.
know. I'm like, that's not healthy. Like to me, and
Man,
mind
when
you,
I was stuck out at the embassy during the
yeah,
the initial phases of COVID, and then the next year, most of 2020, most of 20, well, I spent
right,
all of 2020 in Iraq,
right.
except for I think it was like 54 days. I came home and then I went back, and then I spent a vast majority of 2021 in Iraq. And the insanity is that we didn't even start wearing masks until May of
Right,
2020 on the embassy. And then once they did, they didn't like slowly implement it and see how it went. They're like, all right, we're wearing masks now. They even made us run out, like we had to do our physical fitness test outside wearing
yeah,
a mask, even if you
yeah,
were if you were running by yourself.
right,
Dude, that's crazy.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
absolute
yeah,
insanity, dude.
yeah,
Like I
yeah,
said, if you can, all you have to do is make people. You have to pit people against each other because like,
yeah,
everybody on the
yeah,
well, not on the embassy because we're all government employees essentially,
right,
but like in your own local hometown, hell, here on the West Bank of New Orleans, if we all just decided not to wear masks in every building we went into, nobody would stop us because they'd either stop us and not make any money, or they would just let us not wear masks.
right,
you know,
right, yeah,
and apply the mask analogy to anything that you want. If you want something changed, you don't honestly, you don't have to use violence. I'm not saying that violence is
right,
never a tool that you should take out of your
right,
arsenal. I'm just saying that most instances can be solved by enough people standing together and be like, nah, this
yeah,
ain't happening. We're not doing this
yeah.
shit.
Have you seen that picture where it's like the one, like all the people are bent over and you got the dude cracking the whip, and then one guy stands up and the dude's cracking the whip and he looks at him, and then all of a sudden 3, 10 guys stand up and he's cracking, then all of a sudden the whole group stands up, and then now the dude with the whip is bent over, like that. I don't know if you've ever seen that picture, but
Yeah, no,
uh,
I've seen that's a pretty popular picture. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's a perfect example. I mean, if we as the people understand our power, if we as the people understand that, no, we're not going for this. And I think You should be like, I mean, if you're gonna do it, just go hard. I don't know if that's what was happening, but
I mean,
they just randomly popped in and put that in there. So I don't know what's happening right
I
now.
didn't even get that one. So maybe
Yeah, so I got comments on my side too, but I mean, I didn't have a lot of comments on my side, so I can't see
I guess
your
we can only
viewers and
see.
comments.
Yeah, I guess we each have different viewers. Hmm.
Right.
I'm about to research to see
Wonder
how
how
we
we
go
can
live like
consolidate those.
together. Yeah, to get everybody in one
Yeah,
room. Um,
yeah.
yeah, man. But that made me think of this guy, this black dude. He gets on and he like, I guess he's got a bunch of like racist comments, and he gets on there. And you can respond to a comment on TikTok and be like,
Right,
"Here's the
right.
comment," and then you respond. He's like, you know what I hate more than racist people? Lazy racist people. And he like shows the comment, and his comment's like, you're just nothing but a dirty nickel,
Right,
like the money, like a nickel. And he's like, I
right.
hate lazy racists. And dude, I had to
Yeah,
go follow this dude because I'm like watching his content.
yeah,
He just says some off the wall shit, man. Sometimes you just gotta
yeah.
follow people, man. Like I like listening to everybody's side of the
Okay,
story.
he just came back. So it's interesting you say that because he just came back on here and wrote it again. So I do think this is actually an attempt to like make a comment toward me. But he just said the same thing
I'm
again.
one away from 25.2 thousand. Oh, okay. I don't know what that means.
Uh,
Oh,
uh,
maybe he was just reiterating that that he didn't put the second G in there.
right, yeah, because he wrote it again the same
Hey,
way.
we don't like lazy racists here either.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, I need
yeah.
you to just come out and
If
say it.
okay, so it looks like my video. He just shared the video too, shared the live. So thanks. I guess I
No, I
don't
think
really.
so you can share individual parts of the live.
Yeah, he keeps. I don't know. He like it's like he pops in. He shared the live, and he's right. It's old man, and I don't know how to go to the page or whatever. So I'm curious. Okay. He's saying yes. So apparently, this person is racist of some sort. So
Oh, okay, okay,
yeah, because
okay.
he just responded black man. Uh,
Oh,
yeah. So apparently, so
so
guess I guess
yes, yes.
he
Reese is
came.
in fact a
So
black man. Good job.
right, I am in fact a black man. So I mean, I think what he's trying to say is he came across the live and he was like, "Oh snap, it's a black dude. I need to let him
Yeah.
know that he's a black dude." Only thing is that the N word doesn't actually mean black man. So I guess I mean if that's how you feel about the situation, I'm sorry. I think, but thank you for
Hey,
sharing the live.
yeah. Go ahead and hit that like button too. Like
Yeah,
if you're gonna be
if
here,
you could
might as
hit
well.
the if you could you could share our live with whomever you
Share it
feel
with
like.
yeah, share it with your racist friends because I mean, views are views, man. At this point, if you're
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah,
if you're gonna be online, people are gonna tear you apart eventually.
right. He said,
I'm sure I'll get.
oh, here you go, here you go. He just told me to get back to work. Wow, nice,
It's Friday at
nice.
7 o'clock, bro. Like, why? Who works at
Like,
seven?
yeah, it's Friday at 7 o'clock. Why would I be working? But I mean, I guess if that's how you want to spend your Friday afternoon, um,
That's
you know
weak.
what I'm saying? But
I would have said something like "get back to work, boy" or something like like
right, yeah, yeah,
send it, just
yeah,
send it
yeah.
with hate.
If you're gonna do it, go hard. But I mean, I guess I
Lazy
appreciate the
racist
comments. I guess because comments cause more people
to
to
show
be
up.
able to
Yeah,
share, show up in our lives and things. So I appreciate the willingness to be a part of our live,
yeah.
and do what you do. Let me see. We got V5Z jumped in and said he's black. That's what's up, V5Z. Appreciate you. Um,
We like
so
we like everybody. We just want to
yeah,
talk about
I
shit.
mean, I guess
We just want to talk about shit. So like, y'all can come on the
right.
damn show if you want to.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Um.
Oh, okay, here we go. I got he changed the spelling this time.
Oh
Noger, Noger. So I'm a Noger. I don't know what a Noger
no,
is.
I think it's Nogger for like
Nager.
for because we're getting close to Christmas, right? So so
Eggnog.
so you probably thinks that you drink a lot of eggnog. I don't know if that's a
Right.
black people
Yeah,
thing.
maybe
I don't
that might be what it is.
know.
Niger. It's
Niger and then
possible. I was just thinking about. Oh wow. All right, this is getting interesting because now I got a guy just So I just chimed in.
Coming on TikTok was a great idea.
Yeah, TikTok is awesome now. I got a guy who just chimed in. He said he was black, and he said to the old man, he called him a ginger. Oh boy! All
Oh,
right.
whoa,
Oh, whoa, hey,
whoa.
oh man, it's getting real up in this mud. Hey, I'm so glad we switched to TikTok because now things
You
are
guys should
getting.
you guys should just come on the show and we'll let you guys argue and we'll just be quiet and watch.
Yeah, yeah. If you guys would like, you could actually come on the show and share your opinions. We would love to have your thoughts as to why you feel the way you do. I think that's how we have conversations. So either way, appreciate you V5Z for jumping in. Appreciate you, old man, and we've had a couple people jump in too. So anybody, what are they saying on your end? Anybody say anything on your end? I
No,
don't know.
nobody said anything.